Howdy, folks. Woody Walls from NeedCoffee.com here. Back again for another Wayhomer review. Here's how... Oh, it's not raining. Here's how it works for the uninitiated. I have just left the cinema where I've seen a film, and I'm going to tell you about that film on my way home. It's just easier and quicker and more efficient that way. The cinema's over there. I've simply walked out and sat here, and I'm speaking to you lovely people. And today we're here to talk about Iron Man 3. Okay, so Iron Man 3. Here's a synopsis. So, true to form, as is the Marvel way, more so in the films these days than in the comics, there is continuity. After the events of the Avengers, Tony Stark, who, I mean, to be fair, while being a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, and somewhat adventurer, probably wasn't up for, fighting aliens. It's not something that one necessarily preps for. So he's having a bit of, anxiety and whatnot in the wake of that. Not helping matters is the fact that now you have a new villain on the scene who goes by the name of the Mandarin. And you know that the Mandarin is terrifying because he's played by Ben Kingsley, who can be quite terrifying when he feels like it. Basically, the Mandarin is doing random acts of terror and leading up towards some big thing. And Tony Stark gets involved because, for personal reasons, he gets involved. And thus the showdown is set between Tony Stark and Iron Man and the evil forces of the Mandarin. Yes. That's a synopsis. Alright, first of all, let's contextualize, shall we? Let's take a moment and say that really, you got two things going on here. First, you've got a third movie, which, as we all know, generally in a franchise, the films get weaker as time goes on. So you've got that going on. Third moviedom. Third movie syndrome. Whatever you want to call it. However, you also have what is in essence the beginning of the sequel to the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1. Because really, Marvel, with the Avengers, did something that no one has ever done before, which is basically set up individual franchises and have them come into one big, huge meta-franchise and have it work and kick ass. So really, this is the beginning of Phase 2. So we're kind of like a sequel within a sequel. So there's all manner of reasons to be concerned about this film. I know that a lot of people were down on Iron Man 2. I didn't enjoy Iron Man 2 on the first viewing because, I honestly, and I do admit this freely, it simply wasn't Iron Man 1. And Iron Man 1 being the first of the real Phase 1 Marvel films was such a wonderful revelation that it's just sort of hard to come off of that. But upon second viewing, it was fine. So you had this sort of, not I'd say a dip, but more of a kind of a indentation with the second film. So what do you do with the third film? Well, the good news is that there is good news. I actually feel like there was a concerted effort, and not a forced kind of effort, but just a decent amount of effort to make the film fun but not stupid, to make it make sense for fun and funny bits to happen, and also for there to be a lot going on, and a lot of nifty little, not, huge M. Night Shyamalan plot twists, but things that, keep you guessing. Throughout the whole film, there's nice little bits of that. Nice little setups and nice little payoffs. So I thought it was executed really well from a writing standpoint. And from an acting standpoint, you got Robert Downey Jr., he is Tony Stark, and therefore is Iron Man, so he is in fine form. Gwyneth Paltrow given slightly more to do, and Don Cheadle when he's giving something to do, which is, a bit about, I think, on par. It's quite good. So, I mean, all the way around, it's a fun film. It's a fun, very solid film that fits in with the overall franchise and the meta franchise. Now, are there some problems with it? I mean, yeah, there's a couple of questions that one might ask oneself, which I don't even want to reveal here because they could be major spoilers as to the actual film. Not necessarily the content, but shall we say, what else was going on at the time? A question that sometimes comes up in the actual comics. Once you build a universe, then you have a universe. Let's leave it at that. I think the comic geeks know where I'm going. Well, I hope I know where I'm going. So that was my big question, which again I think you could have answered with a strategically placed line or two. But now here's the thing. I know I complain about this a lot, where it's like, oh, if they just did this line, or my brain woke up, or whatever else. You know what? I was enjoying myself. I was having a good time. I was having fun. My brain, even when it tried to engage, I just slapped it and went, shut up. Because I was enjoying myself. Now, granted, there weren't, huge problems that I had with the film. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't so blissful about it that I was letting huge things go by. Just little niggling little things that could have been addressed. But again, because I was enjoying myself, I can forgive a lot if I'm enjoying myself. If you keep me engaged and you keep me enjoying myself. So I didn't really have, many large problems with it at all. The action sequences were great, and they actually, there's only, you would think there's only so many ways that you can put a guy in a suit of armor and have him, blow stuff up and fly around. Well, they managed to come up with some novel ways of doing that so that you didn't feel like you were just watching the same thing over and over again. So that, and I think the fact that they decided, at least what it seems like to me, they decided to make a sort of mad James Bond film, except instead of Bond, you've got Tony Stark, who, by the way, has a suit of armor. So that's kind of actually pretty nifty. I rather enjoyed that once you sort of realize that's what's happening. It's fine if you don't, but let's just say before it's over, you'll know that's what's happening. For multiple reasons, which I, again, rather enjoyed. So, now, let's say, for the 3D aspect of things, I thought it was alright. I could leave it. I mean, it wasn't like the Avengers where I was aware of it and I realized how much it was enhancing what was going on. Here, I could have taken it or left it. So, I would say leave it to save some coin. But considering that I'm going to give it 4 cups, because I thought it was really well acted, really well constructed, and fun, yeah, I think 4 cups. So I think you should definitely see it, and you probably are going to go see it anyway, because they're tracking it for like a $150 million weekend. But yeah, grab a matinee if you can, just to save some coin, but do make sure you see it. Partly because, it needs to be successful, and partly because it needs to make enough money so they can afford to pay Robert Downey Jr. to do more. Not that I'm sure they couldn't figure out some way of coming up with another Tony Stark, but, let's not until we absolutely have to. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the film, and, if this is what Phase 2 is going to be like, and the level of quality that they're going to bring to the table, then I think I'm going to be pleased. There you go. So there's Iron Man 3. Next we just have, Thor coming up, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So, thanks so much for watching these things. I hope you find them somewhat educational and informative, and if nothing else, just simply not annoying. If you do enjoy them, please feel free to share them, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, or that blackboard that they have sometimes in the bathrooms of bars where you can write on things, wherever, I don't care. And if you want to help offset the costs of doing these things, for example, the video card that I had this week that melted, you can go to needcoffee.com/support and throw some money in the tin, which helps out, especially when 3D morning matinees still cost $11 a ticket. So yes. So thanks so much for watching. And we will see you next time on the Wayhomer Reviews. Bye. Oh, and one last thing. Guy Pearce is at his freakiest since, I would say, probably Memento. And Guy, I really appreciate you trying to be the next Snake Plissken in Lockout or Lockdown or Lock Through or whatever it was called. But really, seriously, you were in your element here, and well played.